Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a holiday tale that went from festive to frustrating real quick. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Entitled extended family expected me to make entire holiday meal. For holidays, my family usually takes turns hosting, and it's potluck. We call each other, decide on a menu, where and what time, and decide who brings what. Everyone contributes. Over the years, we bought a house. One sister, call her Alice, got divorced, and other family couldn't host because too small. So the last couple of years, it's been falling on us and my other sister, call her Carol, to host over and over because your houses are better for large gathering. Okay for now. But a couple of years ago, it got too much. We all decided on day, time, etc. as usual. However, Carol called about a week early saying she can't bring any food because I have an important appointment and won't have time to cook. So I said, okay. Carol usually cooks a lot of things, so I didn't mind this one time she honestly couldn't. I'll take over what you can't make this year except the vegetarian entree. She made a lentil dish every year. So the time for the meal arrives and nobody's there. My sister, who can't cook because of an appointment, showed up 30 minutes late and said her appointment had actually been canceled, and she still didn't bring one thing to contribute. She then said she arrived late because she talked to Alice, who said she was arriving even later. I called Alice, and she said her daughter had just started cooking the potatoes, and she lives an hour away. Infamously always late in my family. So Alice, with niece, arrived 3 hours late with the mashed potatoes, and Alice made the salad in my kitchen when she arrived. One nephew arrived 2 hours late with a bag of salad greens from the store. One arrived 3.5 hours late, then started cooking vegan burger patties on the stove for only himself. One brother that lives with us didn't contribute either. I ended up cooking 100% of the meal I ate, so we ate with who and what was there at 30 minutes late, when we realized everyone else wasn't coming for hours. The food that was brought later was only eaten by the few that were late because 6 of the 11 people coming had eaten already. No apologies for being so late and disrespectful. No apologies for not bringing something to contribute after the appointment canceled. Nothing. All the work of house cleaning and preparation, buying enough food for 12 to 15 people, even if it's just my menu items, dinner prep, cooking, after dinner cleanup, too much. I felt entirely taken advantage of and sent a message the day after that I'm never hosting again, and the rest of them will need to make alternative arrangements for future holidays. The next holiday, they called to make plans and were shocked that I said no to participating in the dinner, said we were just going to have our own dinner with only my immediate family, so much less stress. While arguing about it with Alice, I explained exactly what happened and why I've stopped, and she said something like, okay, I see your point of view, and we didn't really think anything of it. You always do it. Since then, the rest of the family have just had holiday dinners in ones and twos by themselves. I still get inquiries if we're going to host, and I turn it around and ask them if they are going to be hosting. Always, nope. Edit. My son just asked me if I had changed my mind about having the whole family over for Christmas dinner. He thought it was because of him and his dad. They were working on the truck. He had forgotten the whole family story. When I told him, he understood, but I now remember my husband and him decided that that was the day we were having about 12 to 15 people for holiday meal, that they had to work on the truck all day, and that they had to park it right in front of the front door. No, they didn't. Lots and lots of room elsewhere. Anyone coming in the house had to walk around the truck, through puddles, and squeeze between a planter and the truck to get in. Wouldn't even consider moving it elsewhere. They did nothing to help make the meal and little house cleanup prep. I was so mad with everybody. It's all coming back, and I'm mad all over again. If it were me, I wouldn't host anymore, period. They don't respect your time or contribution. Time for each family to do their own thing. And our second story. Sir, you have to wait here. Back in the 90s, while in college, I worked in a small store of a large nationwide grocery chain part-time to help pay for books, extra food, snacks, etc. Back then, many grocery stores had video departments. I worked in the non-foods department, where we also manned the video counter, the lottery machine, and had a register. Couldn't sell anything sold by weight like produce, as there was no scale. You can imagine how busy Saturday nights would get with folks wanting to rent videos and other folks wanting lottery tickets. One such Saturday night in January, around 6:15, this older gentleman came through with a paper lunch sack. "Old man, here's my money, here's my list. I'm going to walk around the store, and when I come back, I want my lottery tickets." He took off. I looked in the sack, and there was about $300 in cash, and 4 pages on lined notebook paper full of 3 to 4 digit lottery numbers, all arranged in different groups, whether he wanted them boxed, smaller prize, straight, number order has to be exact, or some other way. I looked at my coworker, who shrugged and began helping the next person in line who wanted to rent a video. Over the next 15 minutes, I kept entering lottery numbers on the machine just for this one guy who was nowhere near the counter. A lady came up and wanted to order lottery tickets as well, and I explained what I was doing and there was going to be a wait. She became upset, rightfully so, and went to drag a manager over, who told me to stop what I was doing and help the lady in front of me since the gentleman was not there. So I did. And the next person, because the manager was standing a few feet away watching me. At 7:10, the gentleman returned and was livid because I didn't have his tickets completed. He told me he was going to walk around some more and that I better have them ready in 10 minutes when he returned. Regardless of the fact we had 2 lines 10 deep, I asked him to stay there and he refused. Other customers became angry, so I started helping them. The next 3 told me that guy had some nerve and that they were going to complain to the manager about him. Next thing I know, the 10 minutes have passed and the guy's list still isn't done. It's been over an hour since he brought it to me. He became upset, started yelling at me, saying that I was messing with his money and that if he didn't win because the ticket wasn't finished, he was going to sue. He left and dragged the manager back over. It's 7:25 at this point, and the machine would automatically stop allowing any more tickets to be purchased at that point because the drawings would begin 5 minutes later, complaining that I didn't finish up his tickets. Mind, this is a different manager than before, and of course the manager took his side, saying that since he was there first, I should have completed his order before starting on anyone else's. Once the gentleman left and the line disappeared, the manager pulled me upstairs to the office to give me a talking to. The first manager was up there and heard the second one telling me I was getting written up, and he interjected. He told the second manager what really happened and told him the guy kept leaving and refusing to stay in line so I could work on his list. He also informed him that several other customers had come to him to complain about that guy and that this wasn't the first time he'd done it, and therefore I wasn't to be punished. From then on, it was decided that if the gentleman came back to pull the same stunt, that I and my coworkers had to tell him he either needed to stay right there or there would be no guarantee his numbers would be input completely and on time. He could also come in on other days of the week to play his numbers for Saturday. Wouldn't you know it, but the next Saturday he shows up at 6:45 with another $200 worth of lists of numbers to play. He tried leaving, and I told him that he needed to stay right there where he was if he wanted these numbers, or he would have to explain to the 8 other people in line behind him why they couldn't play their numbers as well. He tried to protest, and I offered to get a manager. He backed down, and I worked his numbers. This time, the line of customers behind him were mad at him instead of me, and rightfully so. From then on, he started coming in earlier in the afternoon and stayed there to have a conversation with me while I input his numbers. Ended up being a cool guy, but terribly clueless that others also wanted to play. And our next story. You run away to be with some guy you met on the internet? Okay. This happened a couple years back. I'll try to keep it as short as I can with as much detail as I can. I was married for 12 years. My wife was a wonderful person. We had many laughs together and many great times as well. She also happened to be full of crap. Between the years of 2004 and 2007, she had multiple affairs, including my daughter's first grade teacher, the security guard in the building where she worked, the son of one of her friends. This went on for 3 years behind my back. I had no clue she was a cheating bee. During the summer of 2007, I discovered the affairs. I confronted her with it, and she didn't deny it. But instead of, taking responsibility for it, she told me she was running away to be with some dude she met on the internet. I thought she was joking and didn't take it seriously. The next morning, she was gone. Neither me nor my daughter saw her for a year and a half. It hurt her a lot because she really looked up to her mom. Finally, I got sick of hoping she would come back, and I filed for divorce on the grounds of abandonment. She eventually came back and tried to act like nothing had happened. Didn't matter because I got full custody. She also tried to sue me for alimony, but that failed miserably as well. The revenge? Letting her F herself over. She lost all her friends, is in a crap ton of debt, and her parents hate her. She works as a waitress at a restaurant and is living with random people off of CL. But what I know hurts her the most is my daughter, who's now 17, wants absolutely nothing to do with her. She got her visitation rights terminated by the courts, so she can't see her either. The most pro-revenge anyone could take is letting someone F themselves over. It's priceless. And our last story. Company tried to put a tower on my land. Last year, my neighbor approached me saying that he had a deal worked out with Verizon to put a cell tower at the edge of his property, which would be a stone's throw from my house. With dollar signs in his eyes, he said that they'd be contacting me to run conduit through my land. I said I'd be happy to take a look at their plans and consider a financial offer. 3 weeks later, I'm contacted saying everything's ready to go and they have a notary ready to come to my home for signatures. No plan sent, no offer, just a, hey, we're ready to go. So I call and ask for some sort of blueprint/scope of work for the cell tower and mention I'd like to talk financial compensation. I'm sent the plans and they had 1/5 of my 2 acres blocked off for a utility easement. I wouldn't be able to build on or farm the land. With the possibility of a payoff, I keep my composure and ask them to make me an offer. $800 one-time payment is what they come back with. They would have cut down multiple 100-plus-year-old tulip poplars, paved into a forest to add a cell tower and maintenance building, cutting off my only view that's strictly nature. I live in front of a busy 2-lane highway. I was lucky enough to find this land in a developing popular area and already have 50 apple trees planted with a large garden. My next reply was along the lines of, this land is worth far more than $800. If this cell tower is to be run through my land, I'll need a full scope of work, materials list, men and equipment needed, and I'll need your estimates of how long the project will take. Plus 6 months, because I know it'll take longer than planned. Finally, if a lease payment plan is out of the question, I can't settle for less than a $120,000 one-time payment. They haven't contacted me since, and my neighbor doesn't wave as much when he drives by. The 4 other families around me are very happy that no cell tower will be going in. I should clarify that my neighbor told me that they'd be paying him annually for the next decade, where they offered me pennies. Not only are they trying to give you pennies, but they're destroying the rest of the value. Like, who would want to pay to live at a place with a giant tower taking up 20% of their land? Did the right thing. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.